Yay, it's closing day. Actually, closing day is a very happy day. Hopefully, if you've gotten to the point where everything's resolved and you're just going there to sign documents and get everybody's checks. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what actually happens at a real estate closing on closing day. So first of all, who needs to be at closing? Anybody on the deed selling the property needs to be there, and anybody purchasing or on the mortgage needs to be at closing. Now, there are some instances that you can pre-sign documents so that if you can't be at closing, you can pre-sign your documents. But everybody needs to be there involved in the transaction because there are a lot of documents to sign, so it's better if everybody's all in one place. Plus, there is a closing agent there that does notarize some of the documents too. So she needs to verify who you are. So that's another question that I get asked a lot too. What do I need to bring to closing? So everybody in the transaction will also need to bring a photo ID, usually your driver's license, and usually the title company does ahead of time notify you if there's a needs list of other things that you have to bring. For example, sometimes people have to bring a copy of a certified death certificate, or a lot of times ahead of times they'll review your probate issues or trust issues in that. So usually if there is things that you have to bring to closing, then you're pretty aware of that. No, most of the time you need to bring your photo ID. If you're a buyer, you need to bring your proceeds that's your responsibility for the purchase. Or if you're bringing a wire, you might want to bring proof of your wire and proof of homeowner's insurance, transfer of utilities, that kind of stuff. As a seller, you just have to probably bring your proof of ID and maybe anything you want to bring, like extra copies of your keys, garage door openers, any manuals. Sometimes they bring the homeowner's manuals there. Sometimes they leave them in the home. Any kind of instructions for like alarm systems and things like that you may want to bring. Just helpful information for the new buyers in the home. Do I need to be at closing? I don't have to be at closing, but I love to be at closing for my clients because actually it's a happy day, and why wouldn't I want to be there? I've worked hard over the last month or so to get to the closing table too, and I want to celebrate with you, and I'm happy too because my broker gets a check and I pretty much get my commission on that day too, so it is kind of fun for me. Let's see, what else on here I have. Where does the closing take place? The closing takes place usually, more than likely, it usually takes place at the listing agent's brokerage office or the title company's office, but it's a mutually agreed upon place where everybody can kind of get together to make it easy for everybody to be at closing. So that's where it usually happens. Let's see, what else do I have on my list? How long does it take? Normally, a mortgage closing takes about an hour or so because you have a lot of documents to sign. You have real estate documents to sign, title documents, and you have mortgage documents. So those are the bulk of the documents to sign. So it does take a little longer in a mortgage closing, about an hour, compared to maybe a cash deal is about a half hour or less. So they take about an hour if everything goes well. If you've prepared way ahead of time before closing, closing day should only take about an hour as long as there's no issues. Usually the time that you're waiting for is waiting for the wire to come from the mortgage company. That's pretty much a lot of the time waiting there for that. Let's see, another question I get too is, do I get my keys at closing? Most of the time, you know ahead of time if there's occupancy or not, and if you're going to get your keys at closing. Usually you get your keys at closing in a normal purchase. There's no other contingencies after your money has transferred over and the money from the lender is transferred over. You exchange keys, it's your house. You can go to the house right after that. A lot of times I know people have a moving truck waiting, for closing to happen and just go over there after closing. So in summary, that's kind of what it is. It's just a happy day. All the documents are signed and property is transferred over. So there you go.